What is up, besties? Not me being out of breath. What's up, besties? Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today is not a vlog. Today I'm going to be sharing my birth story with you guys. I am 1 month postpartum, like 1 month and like 4 days postpartum. I had my baby already. She is currently at my mom's house while mom is out having some mom time because I haven't really had a chance to film lately, but we are here to talk about my birth story and how it happened because, y'all, I definitely was planning out my birth, had a birth plan. I already envisioned how my birth was going to go, and I think all of this helped to have the most amazing birth that I had of what I had, if that makes sense. I feel like my birth planned out how it was because I was so informed and I already envisioned it for months and months and months, and even before I even got pregnant. So let's go ahead and get started. The way my birth started, I started off being 1 centimeters at about 39 weeks. The doctor checked me. He said that my baby's head was engaged. He said that my cervix was already soft. I was 1 centimeter, and I'm thinking I'm gonna go into labor basically in a couple days if I just keep walking and walking and walking. That did not happen. A week later, I was still only like 1 to 1.5 centimeters, and I was getting so frustrated at that point. I was just begging the doctor, like, when is this going to happen? Like, when is this baby coming? Like, what are you talking about? 1.5 centimeters. So the doctor told me just sit back and relax. So I sat back and I waited all the way to my due date, and I told myself that if the baby did not come on my due date, then I was going to get a membrane sweep and I was going to set my induction date. So the night before my due date, y'all, I was, and mind you, before all of these appointments, I was having signs of labor, but it's just like it was never consistent. So the night before my due date, I started having contractions, and these contractions were not going away. I was having contractions days before that, but they kept going away. It would be like 1 contraction, 3 contractions, and then it would go away. And these were like very strong. But that night before the due date, the contractions were consistent. They were not going away, and I was like, yeah, this may be something. But then I woke up and the contractions, I didn't feel them anymore. So I'm like, I was upset, and I'm like, let's get to this doctor's office because guess what? We're setting that induction today, and I'm going to ask for a membrane sweep. So we get into the doctor's office, and I have this filmed on my channel. If you did not see the days leading up before my labor and my delivery, I literally filmed going in there, asking, getting the membrane sweep, water breaking, everything. So I go in there and I'm like, yeah, I was having contractions all night. I'm sitting on the bed in the doctor's office at 40 weeks pregnant, and I'm leaking, and I'm like, see, and I'm leaking this fluid. Now this just started as I walked in here. I'm leaking this fluid. I had contractions all last night, but they stopped. What is T? So the doctor checks me, and she's like, sweetie, you're 3 centimeters. And I'm like, for real? I was so freaking happy. And then I'm sitting on the doctor's bed, and she is looking at my stomach. She's like, you don't feel that? She's like, you're contracting right now. And I'm like, no, I didn't feel it. I don't feel nothing. I didn't know I was contracting, but she said I was contracting that same morning. So I went to sleep thinking I woke up thinking I wasn't having contractions no more. I guess I just couldn't feel them. She said I possibly had a high pain tolerance to the point where I couldn't feel the contractions. But she said that morning I probably was contracting all morning. I just didn't notice it. So we talking, and I tell the doctor, like, go ahead and give me that membrane sweep. Like, I'm asking her, I'm like, I've been thinking about a membrane sweep. She's like, let's do it. So she gave me the membrane sweep, and honestly, I definitely would say I highly recommend it if you're at your due date. This is my first baby, so I can't say like, oh, you're going to go into labor, but it definitely kick-started things for me. But I wouldn't even say kick-started because my body was already doing the work. Like, before I got the membrane sweep, I was already 3 centimeters, and my contractions were already consistent. So the membrane sweep just really just made things go a little bit faster. So I got that membrane sweep. It definitely was not as painful as people say it is. It's kind of like a cervix check. Is it uncomfortable? Yes, but don't go in with a super scared mindset and just breathe through it. That's what my midwife told me. So she did that on me, and my doctor was positive that I was going to go into labor the next morning. And I'm like, how you know I'm gonna go into labor the next morning? She's like, you're basically already in labor, so I'm gonna see you in the morning, meet me at the hospital. So I'm like, okay. The rest of that day I had contractions and they were not going away. Nighttime hit, they got stronger. That morning, the next morning, they got stronger and stronger, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to the hospital today because these contractions are getting very much stronger. So me and my fiance decided that we were going to go get brunch. And this is the same morning that my midwife said, girl, you're going to be at the hospital. And I'm like, you sure? She like, you're going to be at the hospital, believe me. So me and my fiance were like, where should we go eat? And he wanted to eat at a spot that was close to our apartment, which is kind of like far from the hospital. And I wanted to eat at this certain spot that is close to the hospital, this burger spot. And he's like, why do you want a burger? And I'm like, I just really want a burger. Like, I'm craving a burger, and I'm craving a burger from that spot. And I think I also liked that it was close to the hospital, just in case, because we knew it was going to go to the hospital. We just didn't know when we were going to go to the hospital within the day. We were going to wait some hours. We were going to wait till like 2 o'clock. Mind you, it was probably like, I don't know, 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock at this point. But I'm like, let's go to that spot that is close to the hospital, the burger spot. So we go there. We pull up to the burger spot, get out the car. And as soon as I get to the host station where they sit you down, water trickles down my leg. I didn't know what it was, but I told him, I said, oh my gosh, I'm leaking something. And we looked down, it's just drip, 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 drip. He told me to go to the bathroom, but I could not make it to the bathroom with how many people was at the table eating. I feel like if I would have kept walking to that bathroom, it would have been Niagara Falls, because that's what happened when I started walking back to the car. I started walking back to the car, ain't no trickles no more, baby. It was full on like water just pouring out, like warm water. Like I never knew that's how, of course I never knew that's how your water breaking feels, but it was like super warm water just coming down out of you non-stop, like uncontrolled. Nothing you can do can stop it. So I had on the dress. I knew I should have put on like a pad or something, but I did not. And I had to sit in the car, and I told him to go get the burger still, because I was not going into the hospital without something on my stomach, and I was hungry and I really wanted that burger. So I sat in the car while he went in to get the to-go order, and it's still puddles on puddles on puddles coming out in the car. Like I'm literally sitting in the seat, and it's just like overflowing. So I'm like, let me stand outside. What's that smell? I was like, let me stand outside the car and just let the puddles come out on the floor, which I did. And I feel like everybody could see me in the Verizon store behind me, but I didn't care. So he finally comes out, we eat our burgers, and we start heading to the hospital. Now, after my water broke, the contractions instantly got worse when I was in the car waiting on him to bring the food out. Like, it was kind of crazy how fast the contractions got more intense once my water broke. Like, it was a lot stronger than what I was feeling that morning, because that morning I was able to still wash clothes, and I was still able to like clean. And once that water broke, it was kind of like, whoa, like that's pretty strong. So we pull up to the hospital, and for some reason I wanted to walk inside, because he kept asking me, you want me to drop you off at the roundabout at the front? And I was like, no, like just park, let's do what we've always done. Like, we've been to the hospital multiple times, we know how to get up there, let's just go that way. We did that, and I was not able to get up that way because water was coming out so much, and I was of course still having contractions. So we ended up getting back in the car, and he drove me to the roundabout area, and I entered the hospital. Now I entered the hospital still soaking wet, y'all. Like, it looked like I needed to be up in the hospital. I'm soaking wet, I'm walking all weird, I'm trying to get into the hospital, and as soon as I walk in, I see a lot of people in the lobby, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta walk in this hospital with all these people in the lobby. And I am, why is my camera getting hot? Let's cool it down here. I had to walk into the hospital, and I saw tons of people in the lobby, but thankfully there was a security guard. Literally on this side was security guard, on this side was all the people in the lobby waiting. I walked in, I looked at them, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But then me and the security guard locked eyes, and she was like, and she put me up all the way up to the labor delivery floor. So I get in there, and I had to go check in and let them know like, hey, my water broke, I'm in labor. And they had me like get my insurance and everything, and I had to wait for my fiance to come. But while I'm waiting, water is still pouring out of me. Like, it was never ending. I didn't know how much water was in there, but I promise you it was like never ending. So I'm sitting there giving her my information, trying to like get through the pain or whatever, still letting water come out. And I wait for my fiance to come up, and we literally had to wait in the like lobby area to even go back to triage for like 25-30 minutes. And I'm going through contractions right here in the lobby. Once like I said, still water is flowing all on the floor. I guess they don't care, they're so used to it. But he was asking like, yo, how much longer is she gonna have to wait? Like, you know, this is getting more intense. Like, and they're like, somebody will be back soon, somebody will be back soon. So, and I give them my insurance and everything, and you have to do this while you're still going through contractions and everything. So, you know, mind that. And while water's full. About 30 minutes pass, and somebody finally comes back and brings me to triage. And at that point, I'm excited because I know I'll get to see my midwife, the same lady that broke my water, my midwife. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna see her. Like, I was planning on seeing her all day, all night. I knew I was seeing my midwife. So I get in there, and they're like, all right, we're gonna check you. I'll see your midwife back here. And she checks me. I am 4 to 5 centimeters, probably like 4.5 centimeters. And she was like, yeah, you're having this baby, you're definitely having this baby. We're gonna go ahead and admit you because you're 4.5 centimeters. Your water did break. They had to check and see if my water broke the same time they did a cervix check, which is not fun to get a cervix check, but I had to get that done. And then after that, they started my whole process, and they said, you know, let's get your IV in your hand. And I had some amazing, like, when I say I love the hospital I had my labor and delivery at, my baby at, it was just so amazing because it's just like my nurses, I love them. It's like they loved me, they cared for me. The doctors, like, it was just a great vibe, and it supported all of the things that I wanted for my birth. Delayed cord clamping, wireless monitoring, all of that. The hep lock, the IV hep lock, I asked about that versus having the actual IV in my hand. All of that they gave to me, they allowed me to have, they even encouraged it. So my nurses were like, all right, let's go ahead and get your IV in. And she gave it to me while I was standing up because I told her I didn't want to lay in the bed. Like, contractions felt worse laying down. They felt bad in the bed. I felt best with my contractions when I was standing up, bent over, or standing up, swaying side to side. So she allowed me to, not allowed because you don't have to lay in the bed if you don't want to, but she gave me my IV while I was standing up, and I was able to stand up close to my bed, next to my bed, because I still had to be hooked up to the monitors to monitor my heartbeat. Is it my heartbeat? To monitor my contractions and the baby's heartbeat. So I could still be around the bed and bend over on the bed, and that was great. And they even told me that I would be able to get wireless monitoring because I think they asked me if I wanted it since I wanted to walk around. And I was like, yeah, I do want that. So they started to work on my wireless monitoring, trying to get it ready. And then they started getting my postpartum room ready. But while we were in the triage room, I was, you know, still going through contractions, but they were not bad. Like, if you watch my labor and delivery vlog, I was still able to talk and joke around with my fiance. Like, they were definitely not bad at all at 5 centimeters. So we ended up getting shipped off to our labor and delivery room, and that was such a huge, beautiful room with a window. Like, it was a whole vibe in there. We did bring starlights, we brought essential oils, we brought a Bluetooth speaker to play music, we brought my fan. Like, we brought so many things to help my environment in the room, and they supported it. I told them that my pain management, they came and asked me from the jump, they asked like, what is my pain management plan, and do I want the epidural and stuff like that. And I told them I'm not opposed to the epidural, I'm not opposed, so don't count me all the way out, but I want to do natural pain management, like essential oils, aromatherapy, hydrotherapy, which is like getting in the shower, getting in the water, counter pressure, peanut ball, all that type of stuff. So they supported me. They wrote that on my board, and when I got to the labor delivery room, that's what it said: essential oils, non-medical interventions. So contractions started to get a little bit more intense at that point, and it was almost 2 hours past when they checked me last time. So they came and checked me again. I was 7 centimeters, and yeah, the contractions definitely picked up, and they were a lot stronger. So I was trying to do things like sit on the pregnancy ball, the bouncing ball, and walk around the room. I started considering the epidural at that point. I'm not even gonna lie, because I'm like, okay, I am at 7, and I'm honestly not that far from 10 centimeters. Like, Kendall, you can literally finish this off with no medicine. Because I'm like, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of my body to be at 7 centimeters with no induction, no type of medicine to progress me this far. Nothing is progressing me this far but my body. So I was considering just going all the way with no medicine, but I was also like, it could take some time, and I could be in pain for hours and hours and hours and hours, but I really just want to relax right now. Like, I just want to sit in the bed and kiki kaha with my fiance. I decided to get the epidural, and I told him, called him, told him to bring the epidural, and I'm ready. I was not scared to get it at that point. I always was kind of scared to get it, because I'm like, the thought of, you know, a needle going in your back, but like they say, once you are in that pain, you don't really care about that needle. You're just trying to get these contractions to not feel as strong. So that process of getting the epidural is very intense. Like, it's a whole thing. Like, it's very, very, very serious. But thankfully, they allowed my fiance to stay in the room, and my amazing nurses were in there. She was encouraging me. She was like, good job, mama. Like, you're doing so good. Like, you're doing so good. Like, that makes or breaks your birthing experience. I'm not gonna lie, because I had one experience with a nurse that I didn't really care for like that, or it was the same time, but it was 2 nurses that I didn't really care for that was helping me one time, and they weren't really listening to me. They weren't really asking me how I felt. They were just flipping me around like a freaking bouncing ball and not saying anything to me. Like, hello, I'm a human. Hello, I told you that this side of my body feels numb, and you're talking about some, oh, she's fine. I did not say I'm fine. Why are you telling that other lady I said I'm fine? I did not say I'm fine. But I had my amazing nurses when I was getting my epidural, and it was great. I got it done, and after that, I was shaking like a, okay? I had the shakes. And my family was in the lobby waiting to come up. So when they came up, I was definitely shaking. I couldn't stop shaking. But it was a side effect of the epidural. And, you know, I definitely say I didn't feel the contractions. I didn't feel them. But my labor lasted a lot more hours than the epidural. So as time goes on, you know, I'm chilling. I can't eat at that point. I'm just eating ice chips, and it doesn't make the pain go all the way away, but it does take the pressure off of it. So 2 hours later, after that, I get checked, and I'm at 9 centimeters, and it's kind of like just everything is progressing. Like, there was not much intervention. It was just me sitting back, letting my body do what it do. And you would think that the epidural would slow down my labor, but it 100% did not slow down my labor. What else? Yeah, so I was 9 centimeters, and they told me that at this point they were going to labor down the baby with me on a peanut ball. So I had to have a peanut ball in between my legs on the right side for 2 hours or 1 hour, and then they had to switch me to the other side with the peanut ball. But yeah, that was kind of annoying because my body was going numb from laying on each side for so long. And that's when I was telling you I got those 2 nurses, and I'm like, I kept pressing the button and calling them. I'm like, I'm still having pain, or this side is numb, and they kept telling me to press the epidural button again. And honestly, I was scared to press that button again. Like, I was honestly scared to press that button again, because I'm like, no, like, I don't want to be too out of it. Like, I was shook when she said press the button again, and my fiance was about to press it. He was like, you just said you're in pain. Like, what do you want me to do? And I said, I don't know, I'm just scared. And the nurse was like, tell me why you're scared to press this epidural button. I said, I don't want to be like too like something. Like, I don't want to be too, I don't want to be too much of numb or something. So I had to press the button 2 more times, but it literally did nothing. Like, I don't think it did anything. I still was in pain. And it got to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is still so painful. I knew it would have been painful if I went all the way to 10. But it was so painful that I'm like, I still feel it. Like, I don't think the epidural is working no more. So they decided to give me another form of medication. Do I know what that medication was? No, I don't. But sister, I lay there and I'm like, put that medication in the IV. Okay, and it helped me a lot. And a little bit after that, they were like, it's time to push. Okay, and this is probably the hardest part of my labor and delivery, 100%. I would say the rest of my story went dumb fast, mainly because the hardest part for me was my pushing time. But I think it's very normal for a first-time mom. And like I said, I had the epidural, so I was numb. I was very numb down there when they said it was time to push. Like, I was so numb down there. Like, I was trying to push and I just felt nothing down there. So it took almost 2 hours for me to actually, well, the baby came out 2 hours later from pushing, but within the first 30 minutes of pushing, I had this one doctor, and you know, she's talking about children's books, and I thought that was a good way to take the height off the situation. Like, I'm trying to push and then we would stop, talk about the books, try to push again when a contraction came, stop, talk about her kid. And that was good. But then out of nowhere, she's like, okay, I gotta get ready to go. It's almost time for me to leave. It's 7 in the morning. And I'm like, this baby is not out. Where are you going? Like, what are you doing? She had to leave. It don't matter if the nurses have to leave during your shift. They have to go, and you gotta wait till another doctor come. So they put the covers over me, y'all, after I've been pushing for like 30 to 40 minutes. And the pressure is getting, you know, more intense. She's getting down more in my, like, pelvis area. They put the covers back on me, and they told me that I need to wait until the next doctor come in, which is like 5 to 10 minutes. I was screaming so bad when they left me and my fiance in the room. Like, help, somebody hurry up, hurry up. Like, it was so intense. I just wanted to push already. Like, it was so much pressure. I was screaming for somebody to come. My fiance went and asked, like, hey, is somebody coming soon? It's like, yeah, we'll be in there in a second. By the time the next doctor came in, she was trying to introduce herself, and I had already started pushing with the nurse because I'm like, I cannot wait no more. Like, I need to start pushing. I didn't care what the doctor's name was. I didn't care about none of that. She's like, hi, sweetie, I'm doctor. By that point, I don't care. Let's get this baby out. So when she came, it was really like go time. Like, she was super encouraging. But yeah, she was very encouraging, very, very positive. She was just telling me I was doing great, even though I felt like I wasn't really progressing. I was getting so discouraged in my mind. I just literally was telling myself, like, am I even doing anything? Like, I'm doing all this pushing, and is the baby even coming out? But by that point, like, by the time that new doctor was in there, I was definitely feeling, I was able to feel pushing again, which was actually helping. They tell you to push like you're taking a poop, that is true, but it's basically like you're doing crunches. Like, you need to push with your stomach muscles. So with about 30 more minutes with this new doctor, my baby girl, she started crowning. Like, her head was like right there, and that was so hard because it hurt so bad. And most times they want you to wait within the contraction. So waiting with her head right there, the contractions, multiple contractions, I just kept saying, no, I want to keep going. I want to push. And I'm thinking in my head, Kendall, you're going to tear with doing this. But I did not care. Okay, they let me keep pushing. And they kept telling me, like, oh my gosh, mom, your baby has so much hair. It's so good. And I'm just like, in my head, like, I don't care. Push my baby out. She's out. They put her on my chest, and the rest was history. She came out crying. I had nursed her within the next 3 minutes of her being out, and the lady delivered my placenta, and she told me that, guess what, mom? You have no tears at all. You have a little labia lesion, which is a little small cut or tear at your labia, but it doesn't need stitches. It can heal on its own. I said, how can my labor get any better than this? I spoke over my labor delivery saying it was going to be beautiful, empowering, and that's exactly what it was. So I love my hospital, I love my labor and delivery, and I love my decision of everything that I decided to go for with my experience. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, besties.